Hi there. Today I want to talk about a verb in Esperanto which is unfortunately very overlooked and underused. And you need to start using it right now. It is Specti. Specti means to spectate, to watch, to intensely, actively, and fully take in visually a performance, a movie, a play, etc. Specti is often the word that should be getting used when other words are actually being used by people who still have some learning to do. And you might say, well, what do you mean? Is it really that important? If someone says, oh, mi volas vidi vian filmon, I had a French Esperantist say that to me a few days ago online, that they're looking forward to seeing the film I was telling them about. Well, no, you don't want a vidi, Gene. Vi volas spekti la filmon. Other people I see on Reddit will say, mi volas rigardi pli da filmoj in Esperanto. I want to watch more films in Esperanto, but you're saying you want to gaze at more films in Esperanto. You want to stare at more films in Esperanto. That's not the same thing. And some of you could say, oh, are you being pedantic? And does it really matter? It's kind of related. Just stop correcting people. No, this is a case where that really is not the right verb, except for the rare case where it is the right thing to say. So let me give you an example of how off that is and how not good that is for the ear hearing that. Mi jus spectis ci tiun libron kai mi alte recomendas gin. What did I just say? I just watched this book and I highly recommend it. Is that right? No, that's not right. Well, yes it is. I mean, I used my eyeballs and I stared at the pages and took it in actively and purposely and intensely from cover to cover. Isn't that what Specti is all about? Well, yeah, I can see the confusion now that you mention it, but no, that's not what you do to books. With books, when you take in that medium, you read. Oni legas libroin. Oni spectas filmoin. What do I have here? Attack of the Moon Zombies, one of the Christopher Meme English Esperanto films. Oni spectas filmon. You don't say mi vidis libron, mi rigardis libron, unless you're talking about seeing it, noticing it, glancing at it on your shelf, and then deciding to read it. You could say that about a film. So yes, technically it is sometimes correct to say mi rigardis filmon sur via bretto. But if I was staring at a particular film on your shelf, it would be because a spider was crawling on it, and I want to flick that off. Or because something was covering it, and hey, I was not able to get a view of it, so mi ne povis vidi la filmon, char, estis alia filmo antau gi. So, mi movos tion, kai nun mi povas vidi la tutan filmaron sur via bretto. What am I saying? There was something on top of or in front of the other film, so I couldn't view it. I couldn't get a view of it, and moving it allowed me to get a view of, those are the other movies, and now I want to watch Specti, that one. Do you see where I appropriately used a similar verb in the right use for it instead of intermixing them? So, Specti is what you do to films and TV shows and plays. Legi is what you do to books, and similarly, aŭskulti is what you do for the active form of listening to a podcast or a piece of music. Aŭdi is the vague one that's just, okay, I'm hearing that music is being played downstairs, but I myself am not listening to the song. So are you actively listening to a song, or are you just hearing that there's a song somewhere? Aŭdi, aŭskulti. Vidi, legi. Rigardi, specti. They're not the same thing, all right? So when would you use vidi? Well, vidi means to see, but I think it's better to say to have a view of, because vidi is more about the capacity of seeing something or, obstacles getting in the way of. It technically just means to, percepti per la oculoi, to perceive by way of the eyeballs. But I would talk about vidi if I'm talking about, was I able to get a look at something. En la maluma chambro mi apenaŭ vidis la libron kaj ne povis legi ĝin. In the dark room, I could barely see the book and could not read it. See the difference? I was able to do one. Yeah, I can make out that there's a book there, but I'm not able to do that ultimate active form of reading it. Similarly, mi ne povis vidi la ekranon, mi ne povis vidi la filmon sur la ekrano, ĉar estis alta viro sidante tui antaŭ mi. I was unable to get a good view of the screen, of the film that was on the screen being displayed, because a tall person was sitting right in front of me. So that's where I'd say vidi in relation to a film, is if someone's blocking my view, then I'd say vidi, whereas Specti is what I want to ultimately do once I get a good vido or view, or vidpunkto would be viewpoint, for seeing that film, for spectating it. So that's where I'd say vidi. Rigardi is less about the obstruction to my view and is more about my positioning or where I'm pointing my eyeballs. So rigardi is for to gaze, to glare, to glimpse, to stare. That's where you'd use rigardi or a form of rigardi. Ek rigardi is like a quick glimpse at something, or there's mi ek rigardis, I momentarily glimpsed something, or I rigardis, I kind of midway looked at something for a second and then looked somewhere else, or mi fix rigardis, with fixed, just like in English, with a fixed stare, I really long stared at it. So, for example, my friend seems like he's in a bad mood here, and he came with me to the movie theater, and maybe I would say afterwards, li fix rigardis la ekranon 2 horojn, sed ne vere spektis mian filmon. He, with a fixed look, he stared at the screen for 2 hours, but didn't really watch my film. Man, yes, he sat next to me, he was pointing his eyeballs the same place that I was, but I could tell he wasn't really watching my film. See where rigardi and specti do not mean the same thing? So there's my plea for you to just use specti when you're talking about the film that you're watching. What are you binging right now? What are you catching up on? Use specti for that. Don't use these other ones we're talking about unless it's counting something on my bookshelf. Oh yes, I'm staring at the books or staring at the films that you have and then deciding which one to ultimately specti. Then that's fine. The reason I wanted to make this grammar lesson at this time is because we're right in the middle of the 6th American Good Film Festival. This weekend I got to act in 2 film entries, both of which are Esperanto Shakespeare pieces. I did one from L'Adresado de la Meguero, The Taming of the Shrew, and another from Mesur contra mesuro, Measure for Measure, which is not, to my knowledge, in a printed translation. So I translated a scene for one of my friends, and she directed me in the scene to play a bad guy in that. So that'll be fun for me to watch later, and I hope you'll enjoy watching it. But I don't want to see people, leaving comments saying, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to Vidi the next one." No, you mean you can't wait to Specti the next film like this. So please leave comments appropriately when these films come out. And you can be one of those films being watched. All of Hamlet has been translated and is old enough, even the translation's old enough, it's in the public domain, so go do To Be or Not to Be. Put on a film of your own. Like, I'm going to be in a couple of films. You can get together with your friends, you act in his film, and he'll act in yours, whatever. No cost to enter. You can win up to $1,400. Even if you come in 10th place, you'll get $200. Your film might be more charming and interesting than you think it will be. You don't have to get an expensive camera. You can film something on your iPhone. The world's your oyster. Do whatever you want. Talk about or show or tell whatever story you want to tell. We've made this festival to be as easy to enter as possible so that as many people will enter as possible, with lots of motivating prizes, and no cost to enter. So you're not out anything, and don't spend a bunch of money making your film. Just get together with your friends and see what you can come up with. The deadline's October 22nd. I'm really excited to see what people come up with this year, and I'm very thankful to everyone who's helping make that possible. Our new festival host, Katie, is doing a great job. We've had some amazing donors step up and make it possible, so let's make sure that they get their money's worth of donations by giving them some fun things to watch. Thank you guys so much for watching this video right now, and have a wonderful day. Dankon al Anna.so, Andy Blair, Anthony Bulinski, Benson Smith, Cam, Dylan, Dalton Reed, Daniel Sandgren, Derek, Alice, Thingtam, France Gamble, Fred the OG Ogre, Ho Emmy, Intercultura Novello Concurso, Irizagno, James Ward, Jeremiah Stoddard, John Underwood, Josefo So, Catherine Lister, Lee Behrens, Lulu Testudo, Mako Allen, Marco Ciampa, Marcus Griep, Marimbondo, Martin Almont, Michael Rasmussen, Myrta Smith, Novian Cobb, Paul Lee, Philip David Morgan, Rachel Helps, Rafa, Rob Mackey, Rod Wood, Savani DeGeronal, Scott Robert Dawson, Scott Starkey Magic, Seth Carter, Stefan, The Tea Merchant, Tim Morley, Tinusa Salato, Vance Gao, kai Genia Amis. Kai se mi misprononcis ion ein bonvole informu min.